From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. We are here in the 22 News Plus studios. And today, joining me across the desk are Kevin and Sabra Ramsdell. They are with the Springfield Rescue Mission. Thank you both for joining me. I
Thank you for
appreciate
having
your
us.
time. You both are run an organization that is so important to our general community here in the Pioneer Valley. Kevin, give me an overview of what the Springfield Rescue Mission is and does.
Sure thing. Well, the Springfield Rescue Mission has been in existence for 132 years. And basically, it started out by just being, a homeless shelter and taking care of men's needs for food and a place to sleep kind of thing. And it's morphed into now a totally different package of what we're doing there. We still serve men, women, and children through, our food programs and also through our giveaway center where they can come in. It's like a clothing store where they can pick up clothing for different age groups. We pretty much cover infant all the way up to adult. And the other thing that we have is we now have a more holistic approach to what we're doing there because everything is based on the gospel, and we're a Christian organization, but also it's taken that Christian value and transmitting it into how do we make application in the practical world. So we have a more holistic approach to what we're doing there with the men that are in our program. And the program lasts at least a year. And again, it's on an individual basis now where before it wasn't, because everybody has individual needs, especially since COVID. The other thing, too, is the face of homelessness has changed dramatically since COVID. And it's not the average person that's out there using and abusing drugs and or alcohol. It's somebody that may have lost their job during COVID, weren't able to get back into a situation where they could earn enough to pay off the back rents and things that they owed. Or they lost their home and now they're looking to, again, establish enough credit and so on to be able to move forward. Or their job is no longer in existence. So they can come in now and we can get them set up through our learning center and through a host of other things, through workforce development, and bring them back in through mass hire to re-educate them in a different vocation, if you will, or maybe send them back to school and finish out a degree they started on years ago. But that's kind of what we do is we reach out. We're not just a clothing and a feed where a lot of people think that's what we really do. It's just feed and clothe people.
Has the mission changed since the 1890s when it was first launched, or is it the same concept today as it was back then?
Well, the mission itself, as far as what they're set out to do, is basically the same, but it's grown some, and it's we've added a number of things to our program because the needs have changed. Years ago, that's what it was a message and a meal, where now it's a little bit more extent in what the need is in the community. So we had to change some of our thinking. We had to adapt to the changes in the economy and what the needs really are for each person that comes through the door. So it's no longer one size fits all. It's an individual program for each person that's coming through the door, depending on their needs.
So do you customize the programs for each person? Because everybody's different.
Yes.
Or is it sort of the basic programs that everybody needs? Education, housing, food, or once you get below that, if I came in, somebody came in and said, I'm trying to do this. I want to, do you help that individual out, or is it more of an overarching blanket approach to get everybody the same basic needs all the time?
Well, what we find is that it is customized to each individual, and that is one of the main shifts that Kevin was able to implement there, because we're not all alike, and we all have very different experiences in life and different needs. So I think the best way to describe it is that the core curriculum is the same. It hasn't changed. And that stems from a core belief that at the center of recovery and progress is a faith.
Okay.
And once you have built around that faith, then all those systems, whether they're education, financial awareness and wellness, physical and mental health, housing, relationships, workforce development, all of those components are basically outreaches of a core system that says you put God first, and then you start building and implementing that belief system into what you do in life and how you build. So those systems are in place. We have a robust workforce development program where we have over 70 companies in and around the Springfield area that are willing to hire our guys. We have the GED capability. We have Caring Health on site in their own clinic. We have financial wellness through FDIC. We have a whole host of different options made available depending on where someone is in their recovery.
Right.
And what we do is pull all those together and from those create the individualized plan based on the need. So somebody who doesn't have a GED, first we start them there. Somebody who can't read proficiently or needs English as a second language,
Right.
or so we'll start where their need starts. And that is determined through a process of assessments
Okay.
in each department.
So each person is assessed, and then you determine what that individual needs to get them back on the right road.
Right. But the core belief remains the same, I guess is the best way to put it.
Very good.
And then we've actually adopted a few other things where now we have a mentorship program where we have professionals coming in from outside, businessmen that have maybe retired and whatnot. And that has been such a phenomenal growth spurt for some of these guys because now they have somebody that's, kind of holding them accountable to reach the goals that we're setting together as a team. And we're just seeing these guys just flourish. And then when one person sees it, the other say, well, if he can do it, I can do it.
Right.
So it's kind of that
feed on each other.
Exactly. And it's that repetition that they get excited about. And that's what we get blessed for what we're doing and how we're pouring into them.
Right.
So that was one of the other things that we recently added to our program that wasn't there was the ability to have folks come in and mentor them and kind of act as their cheerleader as they make these different accomplishments. And one of the latest ones is we just had one of our residents who's been learning how to do. I don't want to say his name.
He's in an EKG certification program at Bay State.
Wow.
And the gentleman that is mentoring him is a pretty renowned doctor in the area who loves what we do and actually volunteers in the kitchen there. And so he took on mentoring this one resident and just found out this morning that there's a real potential for him to go and work as an intern.
Wow, that's great news.
At Bay State in their cardiology department. And so, we try to help these guys create the right pathways through all kinds of avenues. But the mentoring program is that's just evolving now, and that is going to be a huge add-on.
We are up on our first commercial break. Stay with us. Plenty more to talk about when it comes to the Springfield Rescue Mission. We're back in just a moment.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. Sitting across the desk from me today are the Ramsdells, Kevin and Sabroth. They are from the Springfield Rescue Mission. Thank you both so very much. Kevin, I want to come back to a comment you made during the first portion about how what you do has changed dramatically, really, since COVID. But I have to imagine the number of people you are helping and serving has grown not just in the last 5, 6, 8 years, but for decades. Mm-hmm. Is that a safe assessment?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Because we see an increase in needs all over. When we first got there, for about the first 8 months to a year, I was kind of analyzing strategically what our next moves would be as to how can we better serve the community at large. And to be honest with you, what we started noticing was there was a lot more need for women. And as we explored that, we put out a survey to ask women, are you interested in, a program like we have here established for the men, or are you looking more for an emergency shelter? And as soon as we got that word out, emergency shelter, no. that brings a bad taste in their mouth, if you will, because of the abuse and things that go on
Right.
there, and they don't feel safe. So all of them, every single one picked a program for various reasons. So back almost 3 years ago, we started looking at, well, how can we better serve that population? And we started to experience different things. We bid on a few properties, and we couldn't stay in the bidding process. We got outbid a number of times, at least 3 buildings that we were looking at to possibly use. And then we started to look at the possibility of raising and erecting a building in one of our parking lots at the Mission on Mill Street that we're basically not using. And it made sense. But then last year, probably a little after February, March, we started noticing a decrease in funding that was coming in. Grants became harder to get. We've put out over 30 grant applications this year since last February, and I think we've only had 3 that have actually produced anything. And again, the number of people in the nonprofit agencies in West Springfield, it's phenomenal. I think.
Well, what the sort of downturn in funding caused was I started researching what's going on,
Right,
because
right.
everybody out there was sort of scratching their head, at least in the nonprofit world. And so I uncovered kind of a whole series of things. One is that there are over 4,000 nonprofits in Western Mass. 4,000 nonprofits. They employ over 78,000 individuals. And so what you have in Western Mass, particularly in Springfield, also at the same time that I was researching this, I discovered that the state statistics come out right out and tell you that Springfield is number 1 in the state in terms of people on welfare.
Didn't know that.
So that number was 47.4% of all people in Springfield are on some
Some
kind
sort
of
of help.
assistance. So that means that essentially, and companies are leaving Massachusetts, not coming into Massachusetts. So what happens to the population that you want to educate and train to get jobs to break the cycle of poverty if they are embedded in a system that is encouraging or not able to handle and sustain the welfare role while businesses are leaving? Where do you put people? How do
Right.
you truly guide them into productivity? So that's what sort of began all of this quest to figure out what happened to the funding. When I looked at the fact that as the government funding has dried up and nonprofits are really struggling, they all moved over to the private sector, which is where, because we don't take any government money, we take no government funds, that means that their requests have gone through the roof. So it's not their fault. I don't think it's nobody's fault.
Right,
It's sheer numbers, because
Changing
on the
dynamic.
federal side, it's not sustainable. The
Right.
state doesn't have the money to continue to fund, and so it's really kind of a mess.
So where does your funding come from if you're not, so you're not
Private
getting,
sources. So it's direct mail. It's shows like this. It's our website. It's
It's the
social
public.
media.
Yeah.
It's the public. It's businesses that know of us, individuals. That's our events.
Right. It's interesting because a number of years, or maybe a decade or so ago, when I owned my business in Westfield, I learned about the quantity of nonprofits in Westfield. And I remember
Yes.
somebody saying to me that the reason there are so many nonprofits in Westfield is because Westfield residents are very giving. So the number you state about how many are here in Western Mass, it kind of speaks volumes to the people who live here, that we're
Absolutely.
very giving to our neighbors, and we want to
Exactly.
help our neighbors.
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah.
So organizations like yours, we want to help out even better, because to your point, if we can help these people get on their feet, learn different programs, different trades, different skill sets, then they're only helping the economy, and
Correct.
all boats rise,
Right.
right?
So instead of
phrase,
Exactly.
taking out of the economy, they're then able to put back in.
exactly,
And that's our
Yeah,
goal.
that's our goal.
right,
Yeah.
right. We are up on our second commercial break. Stay with us. Plenty more to come.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. We are talking with Kevin and Sabre Ramsdell. They are from the Springfield Rescue Mission, about all the wonderful things they do, the programs that they offer people for training and financial literacy and whatever it may be. But you are right now really venturing into a well-needed program and series of services helping women specifically. Sabre, tell me more about that one.
Well, as Kevin said, that when we conducted this survey several years ago, it was really apparent that most people really want the richness of a whole program and not just emergency shelter. And so, as we have grown the programming side for the men, we've taken that somewhat separately and redesigned it and tweaked it a little bit to make it more applicable to women, with the idea in mind that we would eventually be able to open a facility for single women.
Okay.
There's a fair amount of sympathy and support out there for women with children, but there's literally very, very few, very limited help for single women.
Really?
Yeah.
So-
That's sort of sad, that you can't just let people.
Well, you can't, I mean,
No.
women are more than 50% of the population. We can't ignore that.
Right.
No.
Exactly.
And they are the most growing homeless population. They're growing faster than men, than the men's side.
So tell me a little bit about the new facility that you're looking to get going.
Well, it's not new.
No, it's basically what it is you had asked about program updates and whatnot. Well, a couple of years back, we decided that, again, it was costing us so much money. And we had to look at, again, our donor base and what are we doing? And what we decided to do was go to a dry shelter at Taylor Street. And I was surprised how many of our board members thought we already were. But it was costing us a lot of money. And again, they were damaging the property. So when we went to the dry shelter, a number of them, they don't want to change their life. They want to continue to use drugs, come in and take advantage of, the food and the shelter, but they didn't want to change it all. So we changed to a dry shelter where they have to, come in sober, and we did drug test and breathalyze, and we see a shorter number of men that really do want to change. So that's our focus. But we could actually move that whole program over to Mill Street. We have plenty of room there, and then utilize that building to start our women's program. So that's kind of what we've been thinking about doing. And I'm going to shift it back to Sabre because she has spent more time in the details of the programming and getting that set up than I have. I've overseen a lot of it, and we're ready to go. But again, it's going to take, some funding opportunities to come into place because we do need to revamp the building. It hasn't been touched in a number of years and whatnot. So.
And you guys have sent me a picture, which I'm going to pull up now. Talk to me about it.
Well, this was an old fire station.
Really?
So on the top floor, it has 15 rooms that we would like to convert into individual bedrooms for single women. And then the downstairs at the ground level that you see with the, windows on the bottom floor there, that is what is now, there are several more rooms there. There are probably 4 different office space, the rooms that are being used as office spaces. And then there is a big dormitory room. And then on the lower level, there is the kitchen and dining area. So our idea was to to sort of renovate the interior of the building. And in doing that, we would have 3 different types of spaces. The upstairs would remain for the individual women that have decided they want the help and really want to work through a year-long or better program.
Okay.
The middle level or the ground level would be what we call a short stay program, where women could come in if some people only need a little bit of help. They don't need a full-on program. And we would offer them that capability on the ground level program. And we would also have several classrooms there to utilize.
Good.
And then the lower level would remain the dining area and kitchen area for women.
So where are we in early 2026, the opening, the ribbon cutting, whatever you want to call it, for that facility?
We have the building plans, and the permitting is pretty well under control. And
Fantastic.
so now is the fundraising.
And
Okay.
we have quotes from contractors, so we're ready to move at any time. It's just a question of the funding, and also to build up the funding that we need to continue the program with the men that we're already doing. But again, this is something that came about based on what the need was.
Right.
So we were focusing in on single women that are being aged out of the system, because once they turn age 18, there's really nowhere to go. If they don't have an education, that's a primary thing with what we're doing, is to educate people and give them choices. So we're looking to intercept at that point, bring them in. And even if they only come in for the short stay program, what we're noticing with the men, we've had 8 guys come over from the short stay program into Mill Street in this past year and have settled in and just are doing phenomenal. Because some of them needed a timeout, if you will, and figure out what the course of action should be for them.
Are you looking for volunteers? Are you looking for monetary donations? Are you looking for supply donations? And if
now,
how do people do that?
Right now, we're looking for money. We need cash. So we need to build up our revenue stream to support 10 Mill Street and the men's program, because that has suffered through the downturn in funding sources out there. And then at the same time, we are trying to raise an additional, say, $700,000 towards the renovation at Taylor Street, for the women's program. So it's kind of twofold ask.
It's got to be difficult trying to
it is.
maintain one, build another one.
Yeah.
But to both of your point, the women have come forward and said, this is what we need. It's not, top down directed. We're doing this for you. It's like, and then and correct me if I'm wrong, it sort of sounds like the women are helping you design what they need. So it's not like, hey, we need this, but we need A, B, and C. And you guys are saying, okay. And more and more people are saying that. It's like, all right, we need to do this, A, B, and C, whatever it might be. So it seems as if, what do they call it? A grassroots effort.
Yes. And again, what we've done is we've rewritten parts of our program and whatnot, and we've tested it with the men, and it seems to be really working very well. So we know that the model that we've created is going to be successful moving forward. And we keep tweaking it too. Like, one of the things we learned that we needed to do was have an actual follow-up aftercare program.
Right.
And what we're doing with the men is, as they graduate and go back out and get back acclimated in the world, is we're bringing them back in to share what they did, to act as a cheerleader to the people that are just coming in, scratching their head saying, do I trust this or not? And realize, hey, this really does work if you put in the effort.
Fantastic. Kevin and Sabre, thank you so very much for coming in and sharing the discussion of all the great work you're doing at the Springfield Rescue Mission. It's springfieldrescuemission.org if anybody wants to help. So kudos to you. You're doing great work here in our community. So thank you very much for sharing all
Thanks for having us, Patrick.
Absolutely. Stop by for a tour anytime.
Excellent.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.